awesome. That makes nothing awesome.
Whether you vote red, blue, or purple, there's one thing we can probably all agree on is that the political landscape of the better part of the last decade has been what the kids these days call a bit of a dumpster fire. And sometimes when it seems like the world's going down the tubes, the best medicine for situations beyond our control is to pepper in a little humor. So at Font Awesome, that's just what we did by making a dumpster fire icon. Just for laughs. This is FA1, story of the dumpster fire icon. Since 2016, the dumpster fire phrase has become so popular that you've probably seen it on social media and memes and headlines, on t-shirts, and maybe even nighttime news segments.
An unprecedented dumpster fire.
Well, that was a hot mess inside a dumpster fire, inside a train wreck. That was the worst debate I have ever seen.
And once a word or phrase becomes a part of the average household's lexicon, it's not long before it makes its way into official dictionaries. In May 2016, Oxford Dictionaries added dumpster fire to their online dictionary, defining it as a chaotic or disastrously mishandled situation. In 2018, Merriam-Webster followed suit, defining it as an utterly calamitous or mismanaged situation or occurrence, disaster. As an aside, there were lots of other funny words that made the roster that year too, including embiggen, mansplain, hate watch, glamping, whelp, virtue signaling, janky, sus, adorkable, and Galentine's Day, along with hundreds more. So, given the phrase's ubiquity, we thought, why not make an icon? But before we get into that, we're going to back up a little bit and give you the deep dive on dumpster fire. And where did the phrase originate from? How did it rise in popularity? Of course, a literal phrase like, hey, look, that dumpster's on fire, held meaning before it became, dumpster fire. The earliest known use of the term dates back to a 2003 review of a remake of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, in which the Arizona Republic's Bill Mueller said that the film was the cinematic equivalent of a dumpster fire, stinky but insignificant. Then in 2009, sports radio host Mike Weiss dropped the phrase in an article about the Redskins losing to the Lions, calling it a dumpster fire, this abomination of a loss. And while it's not likely that dumpster fire was in common parlance in 2003, it picked up steam in the next 5 years because it was officially logged on Urban Dictionary in 2008, which tells you it's really official. So then there's the question of where the original dumpster fire meme came from. If you spend any time online at all, there's a 99% chance that you've seen this GIF. It's a video of a green metal dumpster, the kind you'd find in any alleyway, and its contents are engulfed in flames. You've seen it for sure. So while I was researching for this episode, I came across this great blog titled The Origin of the Internet's Most Famous Dumpster Fire on entrepreneur.com, written by Entrepreneur's editor-in-chief, Jason Feifer. According to Pfeiffer, the dumpster fire GIF has been viewed more than 10 million times. And according to Giphy, which powers GIF tools inside both Twitter and Facebook Messenger. But nobody had yet answered the pressing question, where is that actual dumpster that's on fire? So Pfeiffer asked Giphy if he could track back the source, and then he made some real traction. When I reached out to Pfeiffer for comment, he graciously took some time to describe his research for the article, and here's what he said.
Hey, it's Jason Pfeiffer. Back in 2016, I was a very active Twitter user, and I followed politics a lot. I was following all these political reporters at the time. They were all saying, it's a dumpster fire, it's a dumpster fire. And they just kept using this GIF, and this GIF just became the representative image of the 2016 election. The thought occurred to me, that's not an illustration of a dumpster fire. That's an actual dumpster fire. But I wonder if the dumpster still exists, or the dumpster did exist. And I just thought, is it possible to find this dumpster? And so I reached out to somebody I knew at Giphy, and I said, hey, is it possible for you to tell me where this dumpster fire GIF came from? It was a Los Angeles Fire Department YouTube video. And the YouTube video didn't say exactly where it was filmed. I remember trying to contact the LAPD, who had absolutely no interest in this. They weren't responsive. Somehow I figured out that the dumpster was around the theater where the Oscars are, I think. So I just started Google Street Viewing, pull up Google Street View of the theater. And wouldn't you know it, eventually, there was the dumpster. It was very clearly the same dumpster. The background of it was the same against that wall. It was the dumpster. And I was so excited about finding this stupid thing. And I wrote the story, and it got shared by a lot of political reporters. And that was going to be that. The guy who actually filmed the video that became the GIF, who was completely unaware of how popular it had become, saw my story, and he was thrilled, and he reached out. And so I did an interview with him, and I did a second story, and he sent me a signed print of the dumpster on fire, from his original work. And that today hangs on my wall in my office. It is a treasure of mine because, to me, it just represents what can happen when you start asking the questions that nobody else asks. But if you ask them and you take them seriously and you put some work into it, really wonderful, weird things can happen as a result.
So in all honesty, the meme and the phrase has probably been overused at this point, but come on, it's still fun to say. Dumpster fire, dumpster. See, it just sounds funny. And it makes sense that it's a fun word to say too, because it's a plosive word and plosives tend to sound funny. There's a lot of dorky linguistic detail to plosives you can check out if you're curious. And some fun plosive word examples would be aardvark, badger, kumquat, rutabaga, bassoon, and yes, dumpster. So dumpster fire has a lot of things going for it, not the least of which is that it's fun to say dumpster. And as for what dumpster fire represents, an irredeemable situation, we all get a little bit self-righteous satisfaction out of pronouncing judgment on the idiocy we see in the world because, of course, we're not the fools, they are. They're the ones lighting the trash on fire, not us. Well, maybe even that's a little too judgy. So while dumpster fire may best describe an irredeemable situation, in describing it, at least we can try and have a little laugh, which is something we all could use a little more of these days, wouldn't you say? So there's your crash course in the background on dumpster fire. So now to the important stuff, the making of the dumpster fire icon. Here's one of our designers at Fawn Awesome, Jory Raphael. So I am curious about the making of the dumpster fire icon and how that came about. What's the story behind that?
Do you want the fanciful version or the true story?
Give me a hybrid.
Okay.
Zhuzh it up a little bit.
I'm trying to remember. So I think the actual truth with a little bit of pizzazz is that as part of the Fawn Awesome 5 Kickstarter campaign, we promised a number of new icon categories. And as we were building out some of those categories, you're going to have to double check me because I don't have my computer in front of me. I think the dumpster is in the construction category or the household category. You remember which
It's
one?
construction.
It's in construction. Yep. So we were building out a simple little construction category and thinking of what to put in there, and kind of dumpster as a dumpster icon just came up on the list, and we threw a dumpster icon in there. And if you recall, at the time we were doing this work and we were releasing the icons for the Kickstarter was 2016, which was a particular time in our country, the U.S., where stuff was going down. And the term dumpster fire was being thrown around liberally.
In common parlance.
In common parlance. It was being thrown around liberally and conservatively as well. And so we just thought it would be great to add, a dumpster with a little fire modifier to the side of it to Fawn Awesome. And we did. And I guess that's not fanciful at all. We added an icon that was a dumpster and a fire, and we had a little fire icon, we had a dumpster icon, and we smashed them together.
It's a great combo.
Fun fact: dumpster fire icon as I said, is built using two different component pieces. We have the dumpster icon itself, and we have this little fire modifier that's, as I said, slapped on the side of it. Now, that fire modifier is available as part of the icon wizard on fontawesome.com. So you can add the fire modifier to any one of our icons. So you can have a trash fire icon, you can have a dumpster fire icon, you can have a a user fire icon, a poo fire icon.
Possibilities are endless.
With icons like the dumpster fire, these kind of little quirky, fun ones, we always are interested to see how people actually use them in real world situations. And we still haven't had anybody show us the perfect use of the dumpster fire icon. So
Come on, people. Get creative. Yeah, we covered a lot of territory on that one.
it's a pleasure being here. I feel like we're on a talk show.
Yeah, it is. I'm wondering, I really should have gotten a writer this, Like, I need to have a bowl of green M&Ms. I need to have 7 unbroken Cool Ranch Doritos.
And I need like a cup like a coffee cup that doesn't like actually have anything in it.
Right,
Or maybe it's just water.
Yeah.
You've got some cups behind you.
Isaac, could you, the M&Ms, could you? Yeah. And 3 puppies. I want 3 puppies to pet. I mean, I feel bubbly. I don't know. It just makes me feel good. It brings a nice energy to the studio. So I'd venture to guess that when you woke up this morning, you didn't think you were going to learn so much about dumpster fire or the dumpster fire icon, right? But we aim to please here at Font Awesome, and we want you to have news you can use. A special thanks to Jory for coming on the show, and of course, Jason Pfeiffer from Entrepreneur Magazine. Appreciate him for his time. And if you dig these deep dives behind the icon, please pass it on to your friends. If you like it, give us 5 stars, write us a review if you got a few minutes, all that good stuff. And so, as usual, this podcast is edited and produced by this guy right here, yours truly, Matt Johnson. And the Pod Awesome theme song was composed by Ronnie Martin, and the audio mastering was done by Chris Enns at Lemon Productions.